BSG just cannot seem to escape from drama. Hey everybody, Doc here from the Average Gamer Guys. It's been a few minutes. Let's talk. I'm gonna give you a quick bluff or TLDR to this video. If you want to click away from it and go about your day, you can do that. But the gist here is that just getting tired of the endless drama cycle, it seems, that surrounds Tarkov. I'm over it. Truly over it. And I suspect many of you in the community probably feel the same, especially if you've followed the game for a bit, engage, or at least look at the socials, the Reddit, some of the other things, and just have a feeling you're probably there with me as well. I just want to enjoy the game. I want to see it go to 1.0, get to be a full release, and be as enjoyable as an experience as Tarkov can be, that it will allow. We know Tarkov isn't meant to be fun. That's it. All right, now, don't get me wrong. Don't get on the defensive. Hold back on writing that comment quite yet. a minute into this video. A lot of the criticism and the follow-on drama, if you will, I do believe is warranted. So let me explain a little bit. First and foremost, who am I? Probably might be clicking on this video, not familiar with the channel. And I'm a dad of two. I'm a United States Army infantry veteran, been a lifelong gamer, and a hobbyist content creator. Focused on a few different games, but most recently and for a while, it's been Escape from Tarkov. What's my Tarkov experience, you might ask? And does that give me any validation to form some opinions? Probably not. But I started playing at the end of 2019 on a standard account. About a month later, upgraded to EOD, and I've been playing ever since. From that and getting into the content creation side on Escape from Tarkov, and I'm gonna throw up some stats so you can talk about how average I am in the comments below. Got 3 accounts, and as of very, very recently, we're just over the 8,500 hour mark in Escape from Tarkov as a total. I have a main account, had Kappa 6 or 7 times, and slowly working now this wipe, trying to enjoy it a little bit more, working towards Lightkeeper and unlocking the Sig Spear. I have one. It's pretty dope. I really want to use it in the game. And that is a little bit of a mini flex. Just want to throw that out there. But that's what I'm focused on. Kappa, maybe in the future, we'll see. If you're not familiar again with the channel, the other accounts, I run a hardcore series account, and I run a solo standard playthrough account as well, really aimed at talking about the solo experience and how you can progress in this game, even by putting a little bit of time in each week, playing what most folks would consider a small amount of gaming every day or every week. And of course, those are shameless plugs for playlists on our channel here that you want to, after this video, go check out. I would appreciate. All that to say, I've played the game for a little while. Been in the community for a little bit. I'm certainly not an OG. I would never claim to be. And I've been here, though, I think, long enough to see a handful of these, what I'm going to call drama cycles of the game. I've seen some not great patches. I can say that very clearly. And I can also tell you that I've seen some pretty darn good ones over the course of that time. I also don't intend with this video to really dive into a long history of drama with BSG. As doing some research, getting some footage, and working through some YouTube searches would produce, I realize there's even more that I'm not familiar with that just was a realization for me. But I do want to take us back a little bit to December 27th, 2023. Not very long ago. Patch 0.14. Rollout went relatively smoothly, all things considered, especially as comparative to some wipes in the past. Quickly, we had some new locations. We had some updates to the locations. We had vaulting, snow, a vastly improved recoil system, additions of plenty of new goodies, new guns, new armor, new plates, and we had everyone riding high. Best wipe ever was literally trending, with even many of the Tarkov critics giving BSG some props for all the good that had been delivered in the newest patch. And a few people have commented on this that 1.0 seemed less like a pipe dream and more like a reality. I was among them. Game felt great, still does, but game felt great. I had some friends that had jumped back on that hadn't played in a wipe or two, and there's plenty to explore. We gotten a little bit of quest refresh, some changes that had made that a little bit more interesting and unique, some good stuff with those, and some bad. But all in all, lots to do, lots to explore, and many aspects of the game felt fresh and new and interesting. Unfortunately, as with every Tarkov wipe, however, feeling wasn't to last. Some of the same ugly issues that have plagued the game for a very long time reared their ugly heads. Issues around desync, server issues, terrible enemy AI, all that still back. On top of that, we had new exploits. New bugs were introduced, specifically with armor, hitboxes, ammo, and most unfortunately, as has plagued this game for a while, cheating was as bad as ever. And I'm specifically looking at you loot vacuum hacking scum. I literally hate you. Like, gotta hate you. It's important that I pause here, though, and to say this really clearly for everybody in the back of the room, that the critiques of these issues are valid and warranted, right? Especially those things that have been plaguing the game for a long time. I am not going to sit here and defend that in the slightest in this video. I want to say that really clearly, right? As I started this video out, that stuff needs to be addressed. It needs to be fixed. But at the end of the day, there's also the realization that only BSG can do that. And in large part, they can only identify and work to remedy those things with constructive feedback from the community. From here, the issues plaguing patch 0.14 were further ironed out. We had more testing and understanding of hitbox and armor issues being one of the main concerns. Fragmentation, as it does, and seems like in cycles, came up again as well. Things like penning through arms or into the armpit hitbox, which was much of the disgrace of dislike, I should say, of the community, essentially negating armor and making people frustrated with the new changes. You fast forward a little bit from that point to February 12th, installation of patch 0.14.1. For all intents and purposes, we really take a step back. A good patch. One that attempted to fix a lot of the issues that had been brought with patch 0.14 and the wipe. Instead, however, we had really bad old bugs rear their ugly head. Pistol recoil got nerfed into the ground. And that, in addition with the microtransactions being added to the list of shit, negated any real possibility of anything good coming out of that patch. Now, it's important to realize BSG, who has been notorious in the past for not listening to community feedback, did actually listen and roll back the patch the next day. It's worth noting, as they stated, and probably will show on screen, that the bugs were bad enough to have forced this issue. But a little part of me would like to believe that the feedback was critical to them in making that decision, and without it, they may not have gotten there. We may have trudged through like we have in other patches, with the bugs persisting, hot fixes coming for those, and having to work through that up until that point. But we got the rollback. Unfortunately there, the damage is done. And hence spawned the microtransaction drama surrounding purchasable options for co-op mode, additional stash space, which we now have some more information on, which then sparked even more drama about slippery slopes, paying to win, and more downfall of Tarkov. Nikita gets in the mix, and with a volume of context missing, says that BSG needs additional cash flow, wants people to have the ability to get some of the perks that were removed from the EOD edition. Typical drama fashion, the mini riots begin, community is divided, has formed opinions with much missing context, and without even giving some time or some understanding for some clarity on the cost and the impact to those decisions. We add this into even more drama around Kappa container turn-in bugs, financial report that killed Tarkov Video, its subsequent responses, and then an even more glaring issue with desync first and third person player models, which, again, not gonna lie here, very bad, like very bad. And here we are at a pinnacle of BSG dislike, an attitude around the game dying, and a divided community. It's worth noting, and I don't know how best to address this without diving fully into this issue, but I will just say this. The conversation around microtransactions has been fast, it's been furious, there's been a lot of differing opinions. I don't think we're ever going to all come to a consensus on where the game needs to be with that. They're here in the form that they are. I think there are many different avenues and levels of this discussion, especially for those that have supported the game for a long time, those that are maybe a little bit newer, understanding some of the history, certainly of Kida's comments himself, the thought process around the game, as well as, again, the reasoning for why these things are here. The money, do they need it? What are they going to do with it? Does the financial statement that are out there and available even worthwhile? There's lots of discussions on that. Go watch some of the videos. I think there's lots of good information out there. I think there's lots of variants of opinions. And I just want to make this simple comment around that is it's all worth discussing. It's all worth providing feedback. It's all worth ensuring as much as we can as a community that Battle State Games does not take this in a direction that would actually negatively impact the game, especially from a pay-to-win standpoint. But how much of it makes a difference right now versus what is the cost of not doing that and the impact to the game? We don't know that. We don't know that. So I'll leave that comments there. Again, don't really want to dive into that with the video, but this is a huge component of a lot of the drama, a lot of the discussion around the game. I recognize that, and I think there's been lots of good perspectives that have been put out there on different ends with different experiences, both with the game itself, with Nikita, with BSG, with finances. There's plenty that I think some people should just take a step back and listen to some additional opinions on. All that being said, patch 0.14.1 just re-rolled out with, as we know of right now, minimal bugs and all features and fixes that it had attempted to correct. Fixes to the BTR, vaulting exploits being patched, armor and hitbox changes, adjustments to pen and fragmentation, at least that we can tell right now. And crazy enough, a super fast fix to the desynced first and third person player models and the subsequent issues that were coming from that. It's at this point that I just want to take a step back and ask that everybody take a step back for 5 seconds, breathe, and evaluate where are we with the game right now. But of course, we can't do that. Instead, we've now have to dog the ARM hitbox and the pen changes, stir up even more drama, and unfortunately, probably some resulting BSG hate. And I'll just say this, a lot of the things that were addressed in this patch were things, again, that we asked for. So many of the feedback and so much of the, I don't want to say the controversy, but so much of the response to the, thorax armpit hitbox being adjusted was changed. Now, it is worth noting and mentioning and saying that that does not mean that the fix was the right approach. I personally don't know. I personally have not been able to play long enough, nor would I argue maybe that anyone really has at this point to come to a reasonable and logical conclusion about these changes. There's more to test for those that do that, and personally, I appreciate those people that put the time in instead of playing the game to going out and doing some of that. You can have a separate conversation of if that's needed or not, but that information has always been valuable for a game like Escape from Tarkov. And I would also coming more from an average player perspective, say that there's more for me to do and lots of the community to do, to go out and to feel it out, play around with it before we as a collective community finalize our judgments and pick up our pitchforks. And this right here is the main point. Can we as a community please just relax on the BSG hate? Can we just take a little time, maybe gain a little bit more perspective before jumping to a conclusion? Now, at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of where the community passion comes from is based actually in true love and appreciation for the game. Specifically what it can consistently deliver, more so than any other game out there. Which, in my own words, is a thrilling and unique experience. A high and low like no other. That's Tarkov. If you've played Tarkov and you've had some of those wins, or you've had some of those devastating losses, and they have felt like good, reasonable experiences, not things like cheaters and not things like desync issues, you know what I'm talking about. But with that, when we tie in our passion and our frustrations and other varying emotions that can cloud some logical thought processes, it's easy for us to jump on the hate bandwagon. And I am no stranger to this. I have done this myself. There have been things, especially over the years that I've played this game, that I have felt were egregious and did not need to be there and just made the game in a worse state than it felt like it should be or that it deserved to be. And we let that erode, unfortunately, what could be long-term, constructive, positive feedback for ultimately the health of the game. I think for most people, again, we want the game to succeed. I want it to succeed. As I said at the start, I want this game to go to 1.0. I've put 8,500 hours in the game. I'd like to put some more, right? Now, my return on investment for that has been great. And I can positively say there's few games that I've played as much as this game over the course of the time that I've had it. It's interesting that Pastillion in his response video to the Rilo video talking about Tarkov financials, and both actually shared a similar opinion, and that really resonated to me. Really, essentially, is part of the reason I wanted to make this video, as well as just to say and get out there that I'm kind of just over seeing it. I'm over at every turn, at every patch. It's just draining. It's draining to want to engage with the community and you know, as somebody that likes to think about and see different perspectives and hear some of the conversation around these things, it's just draining because it just seems to be filled with a ton of drama. And it doesn't seem always like it's very well thought out. I know this is not unique in the age of the internet. It'd be stupid to think that it wasn't, or with other communities in other games. I recognize that there's probably just as much frustration with other companies that there is with Tarkov and with BSG. That doesn't make that part okay. Tarkov is also not a fun experience enough on its own that we have probably experienced. And we as a community don't need to keep adding to it, is really where I'm at. We should wake up and realize that BSG, especially as of recently, more than I can personally remember in the past 4 years, actually seems to be listening to some of this feedback, and a good portion of it. The changes of recent patches, in my opinion, show that. Now, will that continue? I don't know. Only time will tell on that. And it may not always be exactly how we want it to be. I also recognize that. But we would be dumb to think that the game is not in the best state, or one of the best states that it's been in a long time, outstanding some of those consistent issues. I do want to wrap this up by commenting on that yet again, because I know how the internet might react to this, and say that those things need to be fixed unequivocally, without question. Getting a better handle on a cap on cheaters and what we can do to combat, or what rather BSG can do to combat that. Continuing to work to fix desync, the netcode, and server, and every other part of the issue that is related to that needs continued fixing. Enemy AI definitely still needs to all be addressed. in a meaningful way. Quests, FIR, even assisting new players, and that whole system of dropping loot and gear and the community aspect around this game also need rework. Some of the recent changes, specifically, again, the arm hitbox, pen armor thing, may also need some adjustment once we have a little bit more time. Play with it, feel it out, figure out, is this good for the health of the game? I do think it's important that we constructively voice our opinions on how those changes can be made to make the game better. I just think we can do a better job as a community of removing the drama surrounding it. And unfortunately, we should recognize that if we don't, it's likely drowning out the good that could come from it. We should also really try to remember that there's a passionate group of people working hard to deliver on a game that we all want to succeed. And I say all. Almost everybody. There's going to be the Tarkov haters out there. But the vast majority of the community, I truly do believe, wants the game to succeed, wants it to be fixed, wants it to run smoothly, and wants it to be a unique and thrilling experience. And hopefully, in the course of that, it ends up being fun. Even though I know that might not be what Tarkov is always meant to be. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. With that, I'm going to close this video out. I'm going to flash some socials. I'm going to welcome anyone who wants to join the channel and just say thank you so much for spending at least a few minutes of your day with me, hearing some of my thoughts, and walking down this path a little bit. We do a lot of Tarkov content each week. Focus it again on our hardcore and our solo standard playthrough, as well as sharing some cool moments, some other challenges, some different things that we're doing on our main account. I personally enjoy hearing different perspectives and thoughts. That's a little bit also why I wanted to make this video, to continue to engage in that discussion, hopefully in a meaningful way. And we'll love chatting in the comments below. We're over in the Discord, link in the description, if you want to check that out. I'll say, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.